Iona is a special place, where sky, land and sea meet, and where the threads of history are keenly felt, where the light has a special quality. It's been described as a thin place, a place where the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds is tissue paper thin. Iona is a beautiful island off the Ross of Mull in Scotland's Inner Hebrides, and it's likely that it was an important place of spirituality to the Picts before the arrival of the Dalriadan Scots and in their wake Christianity. It was Colm who carried the word of Christ to Iona in the year 563. This is Shore Cottage on Iona. It's a lovely spot, just looks across the water to the Ross of Mull, and I can see the ferry just crossing as we speak. But this is for, I wrote a lot of the music for The Footsteps of Colm Cille a couple of years ago, March 2019. I was here with Francie Devine, and Francie wrote a lot of the poetry here, or the original drafts of the poems here at that time. And this is for, I wrote the music. It's pretty much set up exactly the way it was a couple of years ago. I had the music here. I had a map just for planning where I was going to go and how I was going to get there, and I always have my fiddle at hand so I can just check that if it's coming through in my mind it's musically correct or close enough. And so yeah, this is pretty much set up the way I had it. This is a lot of the original music. There were quite a few tunes I wrote at Tame later on, really just drawing upon the kind of the memory of a place, using memory to get a feel for it. But there was a lot of stuff written quite quickly here. I'm not going to say it was divine inspiration or anything spiritual, but certainly I found there was a lot of music came very quickly, and I think Francie found the same thing with the poetry. I mean, here for example, it's a tune called Iona, 7th of March. After that, Lord of the Isles, 10th of March. I've got a set of reels, 4 tunes there are the 7th of March. That's a lot of music, certainly for me to write at one time, so there was a lot of inspiration coming through and pouring out quite quickly. So so this is for It Was All Written, just a glorious spot altogether.
I grew up knowing of Iona from my Glaswegian father, who talked to me about St. Columcille, St. Columba, stressing of course Columba's Irish origins in Donegal, the county of my father. So to go to Iona with Paul Anderson was the fulfilment of a very long-held ambition, and Iona certainly didn't disappoint. I gained an understanding of insular art as reflected in the Book of Kells, or indeed, as we are filming here in Howth Abbey, the Garland of Howth, another insular art manuscript of fame held in Trinity. I also noticed when I was there the considerable number of people that arrived on the island as pilgrims, not for Columba or Columcille, but for John Smith, the former Labour Party leader from Ardrishaig, who is buried just beside the Abbey, probably as a function of both his own Christian socialism and his connection with George MacLeod, founder of the Iona community. But the most surprising thing I think for me was how much it provoked in terms of writing, how much it persuaded me to investigate further.
I have painted a lot over the years, and Iona has been a favourite theme of mine. 1959 was the first time I went over to Iona with my parents, and that's a long time ago. And that's when I started painting Iona, and I just love it. I just love the light of Iona is just something special. There's only 2 places I know that has really pure light, and that's Cornwall, the north part of Cornwall, and Iona. And it's because it's just pure air. It's pure air. There's no pollution. And it's just the most wonderful place. And it's always, always got to me. You know, it's a thing that's got to me. But I also felt that there was a sort of spiritual thing. I didn't know anything about Columba or spirituality or anything like that at age 10 or 11, whatever age I was. But it's just this sort of, I don't know, some sort of feeling that God has been here.
This is Martyr's Bay on Iona, certainly one of the places that I really made a point of coming to it, and fortunately it was just right across the road for Shore Cottage where I was staying. But the reason to come here, it's a small idyllic looking place, but actually in the third big Viking raid in the year 806, the Vikings slaughtered about 6 to 8 monks here on this beach. Very difficult to get your head round such a beautiful place being kind of part of something so truly horrific. And it was after that point that the book of what became known as the Book of Kells was moved to Kells in Ireland for Iona, where it was actually created to keep it safe for further Viking raids. So a beautiful but tragic place. Port Nacurra lies at the extreme southern end of Iona, and it's at this spot in the year 563 that Columba first set foot on the island with 12 companions.
We cannot be certain what St. Columba was thinking when he arrived on this beach some 1500 years ago. But we can assume that he got more than he was expecting from this island. An island that became his home, that he saw as an inspirational place, an island which has proved an inspirational place to many others who have come, pilgrims and strangers, creative types who have come over the years. It has been my privilege to spend some time with a number of artists over the last several years, coming regularly to this island to reflect on God's creation, to reflect on the whole idea of spirituality of place. And it has proved for them to be somewhere where they were able to bring new things into being, and where they were able to think more deeply about what life is about. I trust that folk will continue for another 1500 years to come, not necessarily to this beach on the remote southern part of Iona, but will come to this island and enjoy the hospitality and the sense of peace that it affords.
The original abbey was a focal point for the spread of Christianity throughout Scotland, and it helped to re-establish Christianity in Northumberland on the island of Lindisfarne. The original abbey would have consisted of a number of wattle and timber buildings, and it's believed that the original wooden chapel was replaced by a stone structure around the year 800. The current Benedictine building was established by Ranald, son of the mighty Somerled and Lord of the Isles, in the year 1203. The Relic Oran cemetery beside Iona Abbey is said to be the final resting place of 48 High Kings of Scotland, 8 Norwegian kings and 4 Irish. They are reputed to be buried here in the Ridge of the Kings. John Smith was a popular and respected politician who became the leader of the Labour Party in 1992. He's credited with reforming the Labour Party and preparing the ground for the future election of Labour under Tony Blair in 1997, following Smith's untimely death from a heart attack in 1994. Excerpts from Socialist Pilgrimage by Francie Devine. Here, in an ancient burial place, tucked beneath a neatly stacked screen, lies a man born in a Bedarach boarding house, schooled in Ardrishaig. His folk came from Croft and Quarry, his primitive socialism fashioned by their harsh landscape, where survival regularly depended on others, unrequested, cooperative endeavours. The day I shook his hand in Dublin, an occasion when Irish Labour thought it was taking the next British Labour Prime Minister's hand, he exuded well-being, warmth and wit, honest intelligence, a decency so soon apparently lacking in those who too quickly disregarded his shoes as being far too tight. Alexander Pope wrote John Smith's lifetime benchmark: an honest man, the noblest work of God. He applied a modest morality, a democratic, egalitarian integrity, principled and valued, true to his class, and genuine public interest. Standing by his grave challenges pilgrims to ponder not on celebrity, but on the corruptive, corroding power of dishonesty, ignoble work that diminishes those, most, whose obsession is aggrandizement. Machéir is a Gaelic word which means a fertile, low-lying grassy plain. It's a rare habitat which is found on the west coasts of Scotland and Ireland. One of the most striking features of the Machéir is the stunning carpet of wild flowers which peaks in July and is predominantly used for grazing. Iona's Machéir also has a charming golf course. The legendary fairy hillock of Shean Moor lies to the south of the road on the way to Iona's Machéir, and it's a place steeped in legend and the supernatural. St Columba was said to converse with angels on its summit, and men are reputed to have entered the fairy realm via the hill.
across the sea to fair Iona, Isle of saints and kings of old. In the darkness light is shining, word of Christ shall ever guide. Hear us now, our God in heaven, guide our thoughts to peace and love. In the footsteps of our Saviour, dove of Christ shall ever guide. Come all pilgrims to Iona, light of the west burning bright, His word a beacon to all nations, blessed saint shall ever guide.
Well, that's us leaving Iona now. I'm going to finish up this by playing, it was the very first tune I wrote when we started the project, and it was just a flash of inspiration as we left Iona on the boat. It's just called Fare You Well, Iona.